Hey everyone, welcome to Unique Ways with Thomas Gerard, an audio podcast. Got a really great guest on today. She's the founder and principal artist at 8 Station, a rendering studio, and co-founder of 044 Bureau, a branding studio. Her passion for detail and years of architectural experiences shaped the way she approaches each project, always with your vision in mind. Please join me in welcoming Anastasiia Romaniv. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for the invitation. It's an honor for me to speak among the other guests of your podcast, and I'm very excited to chat with you today.
Awesome. Are you ready for 20 questions?
Yes, I am.
Okay, question one. Tell me a little bit more about yourself. What do you do?
Well, I'm a digital artist and entrepreneur, and as you mentioned, I'm also the founder and principal artist of the boutique Canadian rendering studio, A Station, where we take pride in creating imagery that tells the stories of buildings and products. I'm also a co-founder of 044 Bureau, a branding agency where we follow a strategy-based approach and build brands that people love. And in a nutshell, I just strive to make things that are both functional and beautiful.
Perfect. Question two. What's a key piece of knowledge that makes you different?
I really love this question, and I'll start with the statement that I don't actually think that I'm different. But what I can bring to the table based on my experience, if you want something more, you always have to do a little bit more, work more, learn more, pay attention to the details more, explore more, and of course, mess up more. And that is something I pursue within my team. For example, when we work on renderings, we dedicate more time to perfect the details and explore what if component more thoroughly. When preparing the visual guidelines for the client, we showcase the branding across more mockups than the usual standard of our practice to ensure that the client able to see the bigger picture and fall in love with their brand even more. That's what we do.
Great. And just a note for the audience, and I always say this about 2025, but if you're interested in other 2025 episodes, please check out the episode with industrial designer Kareem Rashid. That was a great episode. Question three. Why this of all things? Why do you do what you do?
Well, I always loved learning and exploring, and I feel very blessed and lucky that I have realized early on that my mind naturally works both in mathematical and artistic ways, and that is why I chose to study architecture in school. While neither of my businesses are directly in the architectural field, I really, really value my education because it just provided a strong foundation for the way I approach stuff. And after all, you can be architect of anything, right? Whether it's a building, a brand, or idea brought to life. And while design and creation have always been a part of my life, I was also equally inspired by my dad's entrepreneurial spirit. I am afraid of heights, but I'm not afraid of taking risks or trying new things or failing. And since 17 years old, I've been working on a variety of projects. I started with like social media design for a local brewery or product design for a fashion brand. And I founded my own startups when I was like 20 or something. I worked for free, I earned money, I lost money, but what I gained, it is something far more valuable, the skills. And if you're asking me why I keep doing it, um, it's not about proving anything. I just like really, really love what I do, and I genuinely want to make a difference in the industry by creating impactful and high quality work. I think that's it.
Perfect. Number four, some people struggle with, but the question is, what does your future look like?
Yeah, I totally understand why people struggle with this because it's really like hard to answer this question. We don't know what the future holds. But what I do know is that I want to continue growing both personally and professionally. And I feel that right now I'm in a very like fast-paced swirl of momentum. And since starting my ventures only 3 years ago, I've been very fortunate to see them grow nearly eightfold in revenue, which helped me to build a strong team, collaborate on like crazy inspiring projects with amazing clients. And I just want to continue be in this momentum, continue pushing boundaries, and just taking on new challenges.
Perfect. Five, we say is unique to this show. The question is, let's talk about location. How does the notion of place play into what you do?
Um, we can take a look at the definition of place from many different angles, but I'd like to approach this question from the workspace perception. Having a dedicated place for work is super important for me. I'm unfortunately I'm not the kind of person who can just work anywhere. I'm very jealous of those people. And my space just has to be fully equipped with everything I need. And what is also very important, be visually inspiring. And also my workplace has to be super clean and free of clutter, because I think that's because I like to create mass in my mind, in my head during creative process. And if my surroundings are messy too, I feel like there is no room for the inner chaos.
Hmm, great. Um, Six, if you had to start from the beginning, what advice would you give your former younger self?
I really love this question, and it would be trust your gut, not the opinions of others. But when it comes to launching a business, never rely solely on personal feelings and invest in the market research. And I actually have a great example regarding the market research. I learned this lesson the hard way, to be honest, with one of my previous ventures, a tech startup and in e-commerce grocery delivery sector. We had it was not an MVP or something. We had a team, functioning business, physical warehouse, real customers. And we made a costly mistake that we only realized much later. To be short, so we kept adding features to the platform based on what we, the founders, thought would be cool and essential to have. And we thought that if we need them, everyone else need them too. But in the hindsight, had we conducted the audience research upfront, we would have gained completely different insights and avoided wasting a tremendous amount of time. And I'm not even speaking about hours, but weeks and weeks of work. And if looking backwards, I think this mistake was one of those that led us to make a tough decision to close the business.
Hmm,
So yeah, that would be advice I would give former self.
nice. What's a day in your life like?
Um, well, my workday just varies every day and I really love it because it's never boring. I juggle many roles such as founding partner, creative director, marketing sales manager, and an artist. And usually my work tasks are planned a couple weeks ahead. And because I usually work a lot, more than 70 hours, I'm not very proud of that, but that's my choice that I've made right now. And honestly, I barely notice how quickly those hours fly. I don't count them. I just counted them specifically for this podcast. But also, what is very important for the day of my life is activity. Since my work involves sitting at the computer all the time, I aim to spend at least 1 hour a day walking in the daylight. And luckily, we have more of the daylight coming soon. And I also do Pilates, dance. That's just what I really love, at least once a week. And another key aspect of my routine is getting a good sleep. I
Hmm,
go to bed around 11 or 12 p.m. and wake up a few minutes after 7.
hmm, great. Eight is about lifelong learning. It's a popular topic. How do you stay up to date?
Well, I've been learner since day one, and as for me, learning is a hobby, and at the same time, it's essential necessity. And recently, I came across just yesterday a really interesting quote in the Daily Stoic book, which I really like. It's impossible for a person to begin to learn what he thinks he already knows.
Hmm,
And this quote resonated a lot with me because I'm always open to new knowledge and experiences, and I never assume that I know enough. And I think that is my main motivation. And the world is just evolving so quickly, so rapidly that if we are not constantly learning, personally, I feel that I'm falling behind. And that's why I just consistently invest in my education, whether through courses, books, podcasts, or other resources. And there's just always something new to discover, And for me, staying curious, it is a synonym of feeling alive.
Hmm. Great. Number nine is about tools. Can you talk about your use of digital and analog tools?
Oh, well, I love tools, but I'll start with something old school. Maybe it's like not innovative, but I always start with a pencil and a paper. I'm
Hmm.
a believer that the ideas have to come from the brain first, and then they can be further refined on a PC, no matter how advanced software gets. Also, I use Adobe programs, Figma for branding, 3ds Max and Corona Renderer for 3D work, DaVinci Resolve, awesome for video editing, and ClickUp or Notion for project management.
Great. So halfway number 10, how do you deal with work life or life work balance?
Oh, well, um, I'll take a breath here. This question, to be honest, bothered me for years. I tried different approaches to achieve this so-called balance. But recently, I came to the important realization that I just don't believe that work-life balance is possible for me. There is no balance, and accepting this has set me free. And
Hmm.
I'll explain further. Sometimes I just dive deep into work, push really hard when I need and when I feel that I can. Sometimes I just step back and focus more on my personal life. And probably the most crucial part here is learning to listen to yourself and recognizing what your body and soul truly need and making those needs a priority. That would be my key takeaway from that.
Great. If you weren't doing what you do now, what might you be doing?
Um, I think that I would love to be a university professor or draw cartoons for Disney.
Great. What would you not like to do with your career?
I absolutely would not want to do something that is solely driven by money, without any purpose or passion.
And how about a favorite word, quote, or sentence?
That's actually like one of my favorite questions because it's like, to be honest, it's hard to choose something because there are just so many. But right now, I would highlight two quotes. One is the one who never does the dishes never breaks them. And another one, what goes around comes around.
Great. And how about a least favorite word, quote, or sentence?
Mm, it was also hard to choose something and to highlight something, but actually this morning when I woke up, I was thinking of this. And like when people say, you're so talented, you can do this or that, it sometimes makes talent sounds like pure luck or just some sort of natural gift. And what I truly believe that talent is refined through dedication, persistence, and hard work. And of course, like there is no doubt some people may have natural abilities, but ultimately it's an effort of practice and like hard work to develop the true skill.
Hmm. Great. So you're choosing one word to describe yourself. What word do you choose?
Um, Today I would choose driven.
And what keeps you up at night?
Okay, so right now, actually nothing. I just try to relax my mind, and as soon as my head hits the pillow, I just fall asleep.
Great. And final stretch here. What's a dream you're chasing?
Well, mm, my dream actually is to ensure that everything I do, like on the grand scheme of things, has a meaning and leaves an impact. And it may sound cliche, but I'm not talking about like some global stuff. I just really want to honor the legacy of my ancestors, the people who lived before me, my parents, my mom and dad, and just pass it down with dignity to my like future children and future generations.
Great. And what inspires you?
Mm, Actually, a few things. So my biggest inspiration comes from my surroundings, nature, architecture, beautiful design spaces and objects. And when I need the inspiration, I try not to turn to Pinterest or social media.
Hmm.
And instead of that, I just like try to step outside. But the other thing, what also inspires me and drives me are people. Talking to like inspiring and motivated people, listening them like speak, interacting with them, engaging with them. That truly fuels my own motivation and inspires me.
Nice. And last couple here, number 19, any advice you'd like to share?
Well, nurture your inner critic, but nurture your inner cheerleader even more.
Hmm.
Believe in yourself, embrace mistakes, and don't be afraid to explore. And also remember that true growth comes from the curiosity and courage to push beyond what's comfortable. And this isn't just some words, it's something that I've lived. And throughout my personal journey, looking like reflecting the past, I've always unconsciously just chosen the unknown and the harder path. And so far, it just had led me to a place which I truly love. And I'm really grateful for that.
Great. And finally, number 20, how can our listeners keep tabs on you and what's our call to action?
Well, you can follow me on social media like LinkedIn, Instagram at NNSDY. Feel free to say hello. Also, both of my businesses, 044 Bureau and A Station, share lots of beautiful work on Instagram and Behance. So yeah, feel free just to join our community of people who love beautiful things.
Perfect. Thanks so much for joining. We're both based in Vancouver, right? So
Yes, we are.
yeah, super happy to build out that angle. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.